basket. We are very close. So this is a reptilian agenda. It's not just power-mad, power-hungry human beings. And here's my thought I'd like to leave you. Barbara Bartholic was trained by a master hypnotherapist named Dr. Curtis Reeves. Dr. Curtis Reeves had trained psychologists, psychiatrists, and doctors around the world in hypnotherapy. And Barbara learned from him. Long before Chet Snow, Dr. Curtis Reeves did what he called future progressions. You've all heard of past life regressions, but he actually would hypnotize somebody and then progress them into a future incarnation. Now, those of you that are fundamentally inclined, you can just tune this out. But for those of you that are open to this, in case after case that Dr. Reeves worked with in these future progressions, what the individual described as a future society was a place where there was no more laughter. People were trained and educated and intelligent enough just to operate computers. The air was so polluted they all lived in dome cities. There was no more spontaneity, no more individuality, no more, not even any more laughter. And in case after case after case of these future progressions, this outcome always came up. Now, what I'd like to suggest to you is that needn't be our fate. What's been described as planetary confinement is part of the control mechanism. These deep black aerospace agencies have hoarded this alien technology for decades. I mean, we're still pumping gas into primitive combustion-driven engines. How pathetic is that? Now, what I see is a small percentage of the surface population, a small percentage, mostly MILAB people, because they have the capabilities to pull this off. I believe in 1 or 2 generations, some of our descendants will not only regain our total personal sovereignty and freedom, but we will eventually get off this rock. Our destiny is in the cosmos, but there has to be a parallel spiritual development. We cannot just obtain the technology and go off into the cosmos, because without that spiritual foundation, then we'll become the abductors. Then we'll go around genetically manipulating with native populations on different worlds. I believe it's our destiny not only to go out into the cosmos, and why should this sound any more crazy than everything else that's happened up till now? Think about it, okay? Not only is it our destiny to leave this rock, but to go out into the cosmos and to help other civilizations that are subject of this sort of predation that I've been describing today. I believe it's our destiny to go around as the white knights of the universe to prevent what's going on here from happening elsewhere. So I'd just like to leave you with that thought. Thank you for listening patiently. I really appreciate it.
I've heard people suggest that there's the bad reptiles and there's also the good ones. Have you heard of that, or do you think that's disinfo?
Yes. I only focus on the really negative ETs because they're the ones causing all the problems. Likewise for the reptilians. However, from some of the MILABs that I know, there are what we refer to as messengers, where reptilian beings will appear to certain abductees, frequently MILABs, and impart some message. Very often, unfortunately, it's a cryptic, obscure message that we have to scratch our heads and try to figure out. But very often, this happens to certain MILABs. And sometimes it seems that the reptilians that appear like this, they actually, I don't know if it's for effect or they're just pretending, but sometimes they really act in a way that they are sorry that the person has to go through all these things. So I've heard that there are some reptilians that, if not outright hostile, are at least benign.
Can we get another question over here?
Since during your talk you really had to gloss and almost skip over the MILAB area, could you expand a little bit on that and give us a little background on exactly what a MILAB is and so forth?
A MILAB stands for military abductee. It's a term coined by Dr. Helmut Lammer of Austria. Now, unfortunately, Dr. Lammer believes that whenever a MILAB describes seeing aliens, it's the result of some drug-induced mind control, okay? But what characterizes a MILAB is that a MILAB is a legitimate alien abductee first, who then becomes embroiled in this deep black military program where their physical and innate paraphysical abilities are utilized. And they are utilized as covert operatives. It depends on the aptitude of the individual. Some person could be used as like a chemist or as a scientist in an underground lab. Very often the military controllers will either verbally tell the person straight up or mind control them into taking courses which allow them to become like first responders, like EMTs, paramedics, firefighters. I don't want to blow the cover all the people out there that are firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics that are actually MILABs. But you see, there's a pragmatism involved. The deep black military controllers are loath to lose these people they've mind controlled and utilized for so long. Many MILABs have been trained and given virtual reality training scenarios where they're supposed to try to escape from an apocalyptic scenario on the surface, either all-out nuclear war, germ warfare, some natural calamity, missile attack, whatever the case may be. Many MILABs have been trained in escape and evasion. They've been trained in weapons, what have you. So, in fact, I know one MILAB woman, her 2 daughters are also in this program, and the military has told her she has to, when the time comes, make her youngest daughter dress up and appear as a boy. That way it'll keep the kid from getting kidnapped, because it appears that the military controllers foresee a time in this country where what's going on in southeastern Europe, Ukraine, elsewhere, where thousands, hundreds of thousands of women and children are being rounded up and sold off as sex slaves, they foresee a time when that's going to happen here. And so they're loath to see these people that they've been training. They're not doing it for altruistic reasons. They don't want their assets messed with. Now, it seems to me that since these sex slavery rings are also after little boys, I don't know how good or effective disguising her little girl into a little boy will be, okay? But they're also used as multitask platforms. For example, satellites have inherent limitations. An overhead imagery satellite is launched out of Vandenberg Air Force Base. It goes into a polar orbit, and they wait, for that part of the Earth to spin beneath it. It's not like in the movies where they can just send these overhead imagery satellites everywhere. They have to just wait till the part of the Earth rotates beneath them before they can start the imagery. Well, MILABs that I refer to as astral operators, they don't have such limitations. They can be sent anywhere, astrally, underground, above ground. For example, one of the female MILABs that I know, she was frequently sent into the tunnels around in Afghanistan. Now, they knew precisely where to send them because it was the Saudi bin Laden group on behalf of the CIA that was building all these tunnels in Afghanistan during the Soviet occupation. So they would send these astral operators into these tunnels, and then they'd identify the military controller handling the astral operator through some kind of means, some kind of link. They boost their thoughts directly into the MILAB. And the MILAB will report back, yeah, I see several people here. And next thing you know, Earth-penetrating ordnance comes in and just kills all the people that were in these tunnels. Now, what they probably do to doctor the source of the intel is that, through channels, they make it seem as if the intel came from somewhere else, not from MILABs. And so a strike aircraft is sent out, they deploy some Earth-penetrating ordnance, and they kill those people. And they're there watching this explosion, and they're not harmed at all. In fact, the MILAB controller has to tell them, you won't get hurt. Just tell us what you're seeing, report back, and whammo, ordnance comes in, wipes them out. Now, there's another type of astral operator. In surface military ops, you have what are known as command and control ships. It's not unusual for command and control in a helicopter or airborne platform to be relaying instructions to ground personnel and serve as a comm link between headquarters and wherever and the troops on the ground. Well, astral operators are utilized in the same way.